So do secured credit cards even work? We'll unpack that plus more today on a new episode of the Joe Credit Show. So before I begin, I want to just remind everybody that the information in this video is generic credit advice. This is not advice that's meant to be specific to your situation. This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. If you need the advice of any of those professions, seek legal counsel or seek financial counsel in your area to get advice pertaining to your particular situation. And everything in this video is just generic information purposes only. Okay, so now that the disclaimer is out the way, let's dive into what secured credit cards are. We're going to talk about, what is a secured credit card? How does it work? How do you get one? How does it help your credit? And give you some examples of, some secured credit cards that you can actually go to, some ones that I would recommend, and just kind of a breakdown of how, each of those look. So, let's talk about, just secured credit cards 101. How does it work? Or what are they? So secured credit cards, they act just like normal unsecured credit card. So an unsecured credit card would be, a credit card, like if you got approved from a bank or a lender, specifically a bank, like a major credit card company with, let's say Capital One, Bank of America, Chase, et cetera. Typically, those are going to be known as your unsecured credit cards. So unsecured credit cards are basically credit cards that are non-secured by collateral. You don't have to put any money down. It's only based on credit. It's only based on your credit worthiness, whether or not you are going to be extended a credit line or a credit card from one of these major issuing banks. Now, a secured credit card is basically where you're taking a risk on yourself as opposed to the bank taking a risk on you. And the way you take a risk on yourself is you're going to essentially secure your line of credit with some money, basically known as a deposit. And so they act the same, going back to how they act the same or how they're very similar in the sense that it's going to be a Visa or a MasterCard. You can use the secured card, whatever Visa card or MasterCard is accepted. Discover as well. I think American Express also has a secured credit card program as well. So wherever the major credit card institutions are accepted, which is just about everywhere, that's where you'll be able to use your secured credit card for purchases. And very similar like an unsecured credit card because you're going to have a credit limit, you're going to have a balance based on what you use, you're going to have a monthly minimum payment that's going to be due every single month if you have a balance. There's going to be annual fees, there's going to be interest associated with that card. So secured cards are very similar to unsecured credit cards, except for the method you go about getting or obtaining one of these credit cards. But other than that, very, very, very familiar, very similar. Most important part about the secured credit card, which is, why we're making this video, is because secured credit cards report payment information to the major credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And so they report payment method, they report payment data. So your payment history, your balance, your credit limit, your monthly minimum payment, all that data will still get reported to the credit bureaus. So therefore, it helps you actually build credit. So a secured credit card is not a prepaid debit card. So prepaid debit card, the card you can kind of buy at Walmart or buy wherever, and you can load a certain amount of money onto it, and then you use that money for purchases, right? So, it's usually Visa or MasterCard as well there too. Kind of like a gift card almost, but it's a loadable or reloadable debit card that you can use that's not connected to your main bank account. It's just based on the amount that you put into the account. And prepaid debit cards, they're not credit cards, they're not, credit lines. They don't report information to the bureaus. Those are entirely different. Those are not, secured credit cards. So why get a secured credit card? Why does it matter? As I mentioned earlier, to help, build credit. Secured credit cards are great if you have zero credit whatsoever. So you have absolutely no credit. You're in the process of wanting to build credit, establish credit. Secured credit cards are a great way to start that process to build credit without having to run your credit through credit applications for unsecured credit cards and maybe get denied left and right because you don't have any credit history, but you're just racking up all these inquiries. It's just a great way to avoid all of that and a great way to begin building new credit or building your credit in general. Now, even if you have bad credit, secured credit card companies or secured credit cards actually are a good thing as well, because it'll help you reestablish your credit or rebuild your credit profile. And secured credit cards are really good for building credit. And the reason why is because there's components of your FICO score, and I'm specifically talking the FICO score. It would even impact your Vantage score as well. But FICO is the predominant score model that's used in the industry. So FICO score, a secured credit card will basically tap into many different components of your FICO score. The major one being payment history. So if you have really no open credit, no active credit, even if you have bad credit, but there's really no open credit right now that you're making payments on, building credit with, your payment history essentially is sort of dormant. So you really don't have much of a payment history. So a secured credit card will help with that component, which is 35% of your FICO score. Also, second most important component of your FICO score is utilization or credit card balances. So obviously, without having any kind of revolving credit or secured credit card or credit card for that matter on your credit report, you're not really tapping into that revolving component of your credit score or the utilization component of your credit score. So that's also dormant as well. So as you have available credit, as you keep a low balance, maintain a large available credit or a large credit limit, that's going to help build your available credit or your credit card balance component of your score, which is 30% of your FICO score. So about 65% of your score is going to benefit from a secured credit card. There's also some other components like length of history. So if you have no open accounts, you're not really building any credit right now, then obviously your length of history, your average length of history right now is suffering due to no active credit on your credit report. That's 15% of your score. 10% is going to be new credit, and the other 10% is going to be mix of credit. So new credit / inquiries, that could benefit. It may not benefit if you have, credit cards that you're applying for and getting denied. So all those inquiries are going to be ended up on your credit report, which is about 10% of your score. But the mix of credit component, which is also 10% of your credit score, will also benefit because you're going to start to diversify your credit portfolio a little bit. With no open credit, you really don't have any credit portfolio whatsoever. Probably mostly, charge-offs, collections, things like that. But, it's really looking at your active credit. What kind of credit do you have on your credit report right now to determine how diverse your credit portfolio is. So revolving credit, installment credit, things like that, it's going to help diversify your credit portfolio, which will help improve your mix of credit component of your score, which is 10%. So just by getting that revolving credit or that secured credit card on your credit report, you're going to begin to, tap into the diversification of your credit report. So, basically a secured credit card is going to, make a big impact on your overall credit score by tapping into these components of your FICO score, which may be very dormant, very, very poor due to not having any open credit, whether it's new credit or even your rebuilding credit. Secured credit card is going to really help build all of that. So now let's talk about how do they work? How do you get one? How do you go about doing that? And so, to get a secured credit card, the way it works is when you find a secured credit card company, you're going to submit an application online, more than likely. You'll fund your credit card by putting down a deposit. So the deposit that you put down, number one, it is going to determine your credit limit. So many secured credit card companies may have a minimum deposit of $200, some have $300, and some of them can go up to as high as $5,000. So if you're building credit, I recommend just do the minimum for the time being, because you just need to, again, unlock all these components of your FICO score and begin building credit. So, do the minimum if it's 200 to 300. And so those funds are going to go into a non-interest bearing savings account with that bank. And it's going to be held in escrow. It's not going to build any interest. If you ever close the account out, if you ever close a secured credit card out, you will get that money back because it is your money. It is your account. So that money is always going to be yours because, again, you're taking a gamble on yourself to say, hey, I am credit worthy. I'm going to take a risk on myself to build credit, as opposed to the banks taking a risk on you, determine that based on your credit profile. So that's how a secured credit card works. That's how the deposit works. I don't recommend closing the account out if you end up having it for such a long time. I'll give an example. When I started building my own credit back when I was 18, so, close to 5 years ago, I wish, but really like 20 years ago, when I was building my own credit, was a secured credit card with Capital Bank, also known as OpenSky Visa. And so basically that account I still have in my name, still have that minimum $300 card in my name. I don't close it out now because that really helps. That was my first card, and it really helps my length of history and average length of history. And I know if I close it, it's going to really lower my credit score. So, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to close out the secured card unless you don't build a lot of history with it. Maybe you get a couple, maybe start off with the secured credit card and get a couple unsecured credit cards shortly after that. and then maybe close out the secured card maybe within the first 6 months or so. Maybe that would make sense because you're still building credit with a bunch of these other accounts. And so your average length of history may not really be, impacted that much. So now what I want to talk about is, just some secured credit card companies that I would recommend. Some of them that will do a very minimal deposit. Some will start off secured and convert to unsecured, unsecured credit card after you get to it. Basically I want to kind of share some secured credit cards that I would recommend. But first, before I do that, if you've been wanting to repair your credit or rebuild your credit, maybe you're trying to buy a house, maybe you're trying to get a car one day, but the main thing that's holding you back is your credit score. And you've been doing research online. You've tried to hire a company in the past and didn't really get the results you're looking for. Maybe you tried to do it, yourself, but then kind of hit a roadblock and got really busy with life and just never picked it back up. And that's quite common. And I want to let you know if that's you, if you're in that situation, or even if you're not, if you're just new to the credit world and just know that you need to improve your credit and want to take the first step to do that, then I have a special offer for you. If you go to joechavarria.com/links, you'll get access to a lot of helpful resources. I have a lot of articles that I've written, a lot of guides, a lot of tutorials, a lot of videos, as well as a credit monitoring website that I highly recommend. So if you want to, start repairing your credit or monitoring your credit, there's a recommended credit monitoring site that I highly recommend on there. You can take advantage of that. There's $1 to start a 7-day trial. To get some more information on that, you go to my website. Also, if you want to just have one of my team members, one of my agents at the credit agents, have them take a closer look at your credit report for you, thoroughly explain how things work, look at your credit report, and basically set up a game plan for you to educate you on how you can, repair your credit yourself. So if you wanted to do it yourself and just get some good insight on how to do that, my team would be more than happy to do that for you, as well as provide you with a free quote, no risk, no obligation consultation, and a quote to where if you were to hire my team at the credit agents, they basically will tell you exactly how to do that and how to take the next step. But at the very least, get to know what's on your credit, how to go about fighting that information, what your rights are as a consumer, so on and so forth. So go to joechavarria.com/links to learn more and get access to a lot of information, a lot of helpful tools to help you rebuild your credit, get your credit back on track. And again, if you're trying to buy a house or buy a car, being able to take that next step and get yourself one step closer to being able to do that. Okay, so let's discuss a few examples of some secured credit cards that I would recommend and what else is out there. So if you heard me earlier, that's when I mentioned the secured card that I use to build my credit. That is my first recommendation, and that's going to be OpenSky Visa. So OpenSky Visa is backed by Capital Bank, not Capital One, but it's backed by Capital Bank. I recommend OpenSky Visa because they've been around for a long time. They know what they're doing. They have a reasonable interest rate, reasonable annual fees. They report payments to all three bureaus. There's no credit check whatsoever. And they even have an online platform so you can make your payments online. You can manage your account online, fairly easy. So if you want to Google OpenSky Visa, you can check that out. That's a secured credit card that I recommend. I believe their minimum deposit as well is $200. That's a good thing. There's First Progress, not First Premier, but First Progress. That's another secured credit card that's similar to OpenSky. I don't think they do any online banking just yet or online account management, so it does make it a little bit more difficult to submit a payment when you're trying to make your payment. So if they don't have the online platform, I probably would recommend OpenSky over that. There's Merrick Bank. That's another good company that's been around for a while. There's First Premier, which I would stay away from First Premier. I know a lot of people use First Premier. It's very popular. It's a partially secured credit card, which means that you don't have to put an entire $200,000, $300,000 dollars down for a deposit. You may pay like $75 for a deposit. I think it's like a non-refundable deposit maybe. And then you get like a $200 or $300 credit card. So it's a partially secured credit card. The reason why I don't like First Premier is because they have a lot of monthly fees and high annual fees. And so, I don't really like the monthly fee thing. So if you pay it off and you don't want to use it, you still have like a monthly fee they still hit you with. I believe last time I checked, that's how they were operating. So I don't really like that because it's almost like you're always paying them every single month, no matter what, even if you don't use it. So if they still do that, I wouldn't recommend First Premier. Would recommend, one of the first two, maybe the first three, OpenSky, First Progress, or Merrick Bank. Those are going to be probably your top three cards to to go with. And so, there's some big banks out there, Capital One, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Discover. Some of those actually will start you off with a secured credit card and then convert you to an unsecured credit card after about 12 months, depending on your payment history with them, depending on how you use the account. They will consider converting your secured credit card over to an unsecured credit card, which means they'll give you your money back. You'll keep your line of credit open. I believe Wells Fargo does that, and I believe Discover does that. The other two or the other secured credit card companies that are out there, I don't know if they do that or not, but I'm fairly certain that Wells Fargo does that and Discover does that as well. The only flip side of that, the only downside is that they do run a credit check still. So there are people that sometimes still get denied for a secured credit card with these bigger banks. Why they check credit for a secured credit card, it beats me. I have no clue, but just be on the lookout for that you could get denied for a secured credit card through one of these larger banks, larger, credit institutions as well. But keep that in mind and, do some research. If you really want to avoid the credit check and don't mind putting $200-300 down for a secured credit card, I would recommend OpenSky or Merrick Bank or maybe First Progress if they have the online platform for you as well. I would recommend those guys because that's going to be for sure approval, no credit check, and you can begin building credit history right away. Okay, well, that is my time today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, hit the like button, whether on YouTube or you're on my Instagram channel, hit the like button. Let me know what you think. Also, if you have any questions or any suggestions or just any feedback in general, plug them in the comments section. Definitely love the feedback, and I'll see you in the comments, getting all your questions answered as best as possible. Also, if you want to stay up to date with credit information, I do talk a lot about credit. I talk about court cases regarding, credit lawsuits when it comes to the FDCPA, the FCRA. So kind of give you some insight of what's going on in the courts, because what happens in the courts is going to really help you if you're disputing information on your credit or going after certain companies to get them removed from your report. To know what kind of lawsuits are out there would really help you understand, what kind of options you may have and what kind of approaches you can take to disputing information on your credit report. So I talk a lot about that on my channel. If you want to stay up to date on that, subscribe to my channel, whether on YouTube or Instagram. Other than that, I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in, jumping on with me here today. I'm Joe Chavarria. I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Joe Credit Show. Take care.